Hi, everybody. Welcome back. This is Between the Vines. I am Jennifer Phillips Russo, the Viticulture Extension Specialist with Cornell University and the Lake Erie Regional Grape Program. Our program is a two-state extension program with specialists from both Penn State University and Cornell University. We work very well together. We're a big, happy family, and we love bringing you this information on research-based material. Thanks for joining us again. Today, I have Meg and Luke with us, who are Extension Viticulture and Small Tree Fruit Extension Educator from Penn State. We have Mr. Brian Walsh with us, also an Extension Educator with Penn State University, and we're very excited to introduce you to Andrew Holden. Andrew Holden is our new Business Management Specialist. So you all remember that Kevin was a co-host with me in the past and that he had left to join the industry side of things. And that position had been vacant, but as of March 1st, 2024, we now have Andrew Holden. And I'm not going to speak for him. I would like him to tell you his qualifications and what he wants to bring to our team in this area. So welcome, Andrew.
Thanks, Jennifer. I appreciate it. I just started in March and I came from Extension in Ohio. I was a county educator for 5 years, and I have a background in agribusiness and economics, as well as extension education and agricultural education. So very excited to be part of the great team here at yeah. Looking
We're
forward.
glad to have you. We're so thankful that you're here. So I want to ask you, what are you doing to sort of feel your rollout for this position?
Yeah, so I think it's really important that I get an understanding of what the producers need here in this region. I have a little bit of background knowledge on grapes and enology, but I really want to get out on farms, have one-on-one meetings with producers to figure out their needs so I can address them properly in the business management area. We've already gotten a pretty good return on our needs assessment that we sent out. We had a lot of people fill that out, and that started pushing me in the right direction to what to think about and what to focus on. And I look forward to more meetings with producers and industry professionals.
Sorry for the long pause. I was actually trying to find the office number because I never call it myself. So if anybody wanted to get a hold of you, if you would just give out your email address, and if you don't have the office number, I was fumbling to find that, so I can certainly do that for you. But how can people get a
Yeah,
hold of you if they want to schedule an appointment?
yeah, call our office here in Portland or give me an email at azh6192@tsu.edu, and you can reach me there or by stopping in the office. I'd love to set up an appointment either on the farm or here in my office.
Perfect. I was also our office number here at the Cornell Lake Erie Research and Extension Center in Portland, New York is 716-792-2800. And then you can either type in an extension or wait till somebody answers the phone to get you to the right person, which is probably the best because the phone rolls around all the way. We're not always at our desk. But that, or please reach out via email or contact us on our website at lergp.com. Hit under the contact button to get a hold of Andrew. So we're really excited to have Andrew here. We are also excited about a lot of the programming that we have going on this year. So like we had said, we're a collaboration. The Lake Erie Regional Grape Program is both Penn State University and Cornell University. So you may have heard of a little bug called the Spotted Lanternfly. Sort of a dirty word around these parts and in other parts of Pennsylvania. But Penn State has been the lead researcher on this. They were dumped into it about over 10 years ago. Well, Brian, we have a special guest, Brian Walsh with Penn State University. Has it been 10 years that you've been researching it?
No, it was discovered just shy of 10 years ago. So it was in the fall of 2014 that it was first discovered in a little rural corner of southern Berks County, which kind of falls in between Allentown, Reading, and Philadelphia. And it's a remote and fairly rugged area. It was discovered, and from there, the response started almost that fall.
I can't even imagine what people had to go through just trying to mitigate this bug. And I know the fear and trepidation about it coming up here, and that we have had visual sightings, but we've been unable to actually catch a bug. We've had dead specimens coming to this area as well, but we can't find anything out in the surrounding environment as of late. However, there is news that there have been some eDNA hits that we can talk about at a later time, or you can join us for our May 1st meeting. So Megan, I'll ask you if you wanted to jump in and talk a little bit about, because you've done a lot of the work around setting this meeting up.
Sure, yeah. Happy to share. It's been actually a pretty great experience. So the idea for this meeting really kind of coalesced after Jennifer and I attended the Spotted Lanternfly National Summit in Harrisburg. That was end of February, right?
With the leap year,
Feels
it was on the
feels
leap
like
year.
yeah, it feels like a really long time ago, and like it was just yesterday at the same time, how time is. So we really, a lot of these meetings are kind of geared towards some of the professionals, a lot of the policymakers and things like that. And what we're concerned about is really getting the information out to the growers, to the folks that are boots on the ground, that are going to be directly impacted by this pest in the coming years. Like Jennifer said, as to the best of our knowledge, there's no established populations in Chautauqua County, New York, or Erie County, Pennsylvania, but there's traces, there's transient individual insects that have been found. So we know it's coming, it's on the horizon. So what our goal was when we started organizing this meeting was to provide the most recent and the most relevant information directly to the growers, along with strategies that they can use to implement the findings, to really turn the research into something practical and tangible, to kind of ease some of that trepidation, so folks really feel like they have a game plan when this arrives. And that was something that some of our growers down in Southeast Pennsylvania didn't have. This was brand new. No one knew how bad it was going to get. No one knew what the potential damage was. But we're in a much better position now with many years of research, many dedicated researchers who are very passionate about their work that they're doing, and we see this as a really great opportunity. So a little bit of information about the meeting. It is free. It was kind of a funny conversation amongst all of the groups, because of course, we sometimes do charge for our larger meetings, and this is an all-day event up at Birch Farms Country Market. This will be, I think, is it 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. roughly?
9 a.m.
9 a.m. Sorry.
Yeah.
9 a.m. to 3 p.m. So we have a full day. We have, we'll have coffee in the morning and some snacks. We'll have lunch served. But the comment that was made, I think, by our wonderful office admin was, people are already really upset that they're going to have to deal with this, and it wasn't their fault. How are we going to charge them to learn about it? And I just found that really funny in general, and very true. So this is a free meeting, an all-day meeting. We will have not only research components from the grape industry, viticulture, wine industry, but also we're going to have a panel with some Southeast growers, virtual, talking about their experiences, so that they can share their thoughts and concerns for the Lake Erie region and what they wish they would have known when they were in our shoes, and just some other practical information. So it's going to be a really good meeting. We think there's been a lot of effort going into it, making sure that we have as much current information as possible. The task force lead for the PDA is going to be presenting briefly as well. So there's a lot of folks really, really engaged in making sure that the Lake Erie region is prepared for this as much as is possible. So it's been really great to see the collaboration behind this, the industry collaboration, the land grant university collaboration, and even the collaboration with some of our larger policy writers with some of our higher up organizations like the USDA. So it's been pretty fantastic. Brian, you kind of speak to that collaboration as well, because you aren't grape industry.
I am not a grape industry, and it's funny, Jen, you said about how long have I been researching this. I started out that this was private industry. I had a landscaping business for about 20 years, and this just happened to land in our backyard, so to speak, about 7 miles from where we operated from. And we started seeing things on the ground pretty quick that didn't quite match up with what was being described. And this bug was also invasive in South Korea, and it was a big problem there. There was a lot of literature that came from South Korea, but it has not behaved the same way in the States that it did in South Korea. Whether that's because it's a slightly different subspecies, whether that's our environment being different, but it is different. And so I was on the ground running a landscape business, a certified pesticide applicator, and we quickly realized that some of the things that were being said weren't accurate. And we started doing our own research. And then in 2019, I was hired to do this full time for Penn State. And so my background is not grapes. I will speak with great ignorance about grapes if I speak too much. I'm learning quickly, but my background's horticulture, is ornamentals, horticulture, and this, you know, where we are now, and for the Erie region, I feel a lot better than where we started. In the beginning, there was a lot of things we just did not know about this, and it was difficult to find the literature from Korea and or translate and or try and match up what we were seeing. And Jen, in your introduction, you said one big happy family. Well, back when I got involved in 2016, roughly, we needed a lot of therapy as
Huh.
different organizational groups, from government to research to the people on the ground. And I think we've gotten there. We are much more much more collaborative, and that has yielded great results. Some of the early things that were said about this bug turned out to not be true. There's some amount of the Ricky Bobby effect in that some researchers have that opinion of you have to be first or you're last to get things published. And not to say that they fudged anything, but what they did was took a very small look at the bug that has turned out to be much, much more complicated through its life cycle than was ever imagined. And one of the things that's reassuring in a way as we do this is the number of entomologists who are nearing the end of their career, who have studied bugs around the world, say they have never seen anything like this. This is just the damnedest bug. So every time we think we have things worked out, it's almost like the bug hears us and says, oh yeah, watch this, and throws a curveball at us. But where we are is just night and day from where we started. And you guys are all going to get the benefit of that. What we went through and the research that's taken place, you guys are in a much better place to deal with this. And that's not to say it's going to be easy. It's going to be rough for a little bit, but there are a lot of people here that are working to support you.
I appreciate that. Excuse me. And I would like to just add that Brian is going to be at the summit. So if you have questions and would like to meet Brian, please, they are filling up fast. I think, I'm sorry that I don't know this number, Megan, but I believe we have 100 cap. Is that correct?
Yeah, we do on the registration. So and
And
we're, as of yesterday, I think right about 50 is what we're looking at already. So and we're almost just shy of a month out from when the presentation occurs.
And I just want to quickly, and do this a couple times throughout this conversation that we're having, you need to register for this event. And in order to do that, you have to go to extension.psu.edu/spotted lanternfly. If you Google that, it should bring it up to you and you'll be able to register. It is a free registration, a free event, but you need to register in order to be able to attend. You have access to the researchers, not only in viticulture and enology, but also to the head of the State Department and PDA to ask your questions. This is one of the, at least in our area, the first opportunity for you to have that access with the researchers to ask your questions from a grower standpoint. So please consider joining, coming, asking those questions, and getting your voices heard.
And I'll do a quick shout out too. If for whatever reason you can't attend the meeting, please reach out to our team, myself, Jennifer, Andrew, any of us that you feel comfortable chatting with. If you have specific questions or concerns that you would like addressed, we will be putting effort into making sure that even voices that can't be at the meeting will be heard, and we'll make sure that those questions are asked, and then we will be sending out that information either in a future podcast or in one of our crop updates that go out weekly throughout the growing season to our LERGP members. So if you do have other questions, other things that you'd like shared, concerns, and you can't make it to the meeting, please do reach out to us, because we really want all of the voices to be heard, even if you happen to not be available that particular day.
And which speaks volumes to Brian. Brian, I love your story, and I really would like you to share it a little bit more with our growers. Brian started off as a grower, basically, a grower in landscaping and horticulture, and you had questions and concerns, and you voiced your opinion. And now, look, you're one of the biggest advocates for Spotted Lanternfly, and we're so blessed to have you on that team. But your knowledge base is, look at Brian. I'm gushing over Brian right now. Your knowledge base about what you do and what you have done is just amazing. So if you could just maybe talk to our growers a little bit more about that, about your just the background you've done, what you've done in Spotted Lanternfly research, and share your knowledge with us.
Well, first, I don't advocate for lanternfly. I kill lanternflies. That's my and I kill lots of lanternflies.
An advocate of death.
Yeah, I'm an advocate of death for lanternflies to the point of, it's not uncommon with our insecticide trials that myself or technicians, we will count upwards of 50,000 insects by hand a year, and that's flipping each one over, sexing them, looking at those patterns of movement, and what that actually does to your brain. I had my wife yelling at me as I was sorting lanternflies in my sleep one night and pulling her hair out. And she wanted to know just exactly what the hell was wrong with me and why I was ripping her hair out of her head. It's to that level that we do this. I think a lot of what I do is I have been very lucky to encounter some incredibly smart people. And what I bring to this is more the practical, the hands-on. How do we do that? How do we get that done? And that's more my role in this. And I picked up a lot of things along the way. So basically it's the fake it till you make it kind of thing. But what I do is much more the practical and the dirty. So yeah.
Megan, do you have any questions for Brian? I know we know Brian, and we know his history and what he does, and I just want to make sure we shine that to our growers to get a little piece of what they're going to see at.
Yeah, I mean, what I've seen is that's really fantastic, and your story in particular, Brian, with moving from industry into the research components here, is this happened fast. You know, academia and our researchers, generally, they like to go slow. They like to pick things apart. They like to study. They like to collect all the information. And in this case, because of the level of destruction this pest is capable of in a very short amount of time, just a couple of years, these populations can go from a couple of individuals to 50,000 on one tree. There was a lot of uncomfortable, I think, changes that had to occur in how the research was happening. So this is one of those examples of how we can, with extension and academia working together closely with industry, which I think we do really pretty well with our team up in the Lake Erie region, that we had to kind of pivot and say, no, this is the observations, this is what needs to happen, and allowing that to guide the research rather than it just being that exploratory science that we oftentimes would prefer to do. This was based on here's the boots on the ground. This has to guide us because we need answers to these questions, regardless of some of the other sides of it. And so it's really, really great to have somebody that's been able to move not from academia into the applied, but from the applied into the more academic pursuits. So it's fantastic to see how you were able to pivot as an individual, but how the land grant universities and our structure was able to pivot to meet the needs of the industries that we work with so closely. So
yeah, and there's a big part of that too. It's the academia, but not much of this would have happened without the cooperation of commercial nursery growers and commercial wineries in the Southeast. Certainly, we do not produce grapes to the volume that the Erie region does, but when there are wineries of 20, 40 acres in this region and they were attacked, just like you're probably unfortunately going to be attacked, without their cooperation, without their willingness to let us have access and try different things, we would not be where we are with this. And I know for a fact several of them got just really tired of seeing us day in, day out. And I don't spend that much time in the grapes, but in the nursery, I can say they got to the point where they were no longer excited to see us and just said, "Yeah, do your thing." And when we did and tried to stay out of their way, but unfortunately, if you imagine somebody having free run on your property while you're working, they're going to get in your way eventually. And we know we did, and we are very grateful for them allowing us to do all of that work. It's made a huge difference. So,
And it's been the basis and the foundation of what's coming our way. So we are also thankful for all of the growers who have done that. And to all of our growers out there, please keep an open mind when we want to come stomping through your vineyards and when this thing comes in,
yeah,
unfortunately, gets to us.
that was a slightly devious pitch to, hey, you might be seeing a whole bunch of me if you're welcome. I'm going to welcome me on your property. So, yeah.
I would like to also thank Brian they came up here, what was it, last August? You and Dr. Julie Urban, who has been the lead on the Spotted Lanternfly research for Penn State University, came up to our region last
In November.
November.
Yep.
And I think, and I'm so appreciative of that because we are so different than Southeast PA in the breadth of what we do up here, the mechanization, and not all of the hand management that is done in Southeast PA. We are all mechanized and we're worried about what's going to happen. And you guys were the first people to say, we need to bring this information to that group. So thank you for that and being an advocate for our area, maybe not for the bug, but for our area, because due to that Spotted Lanternfly Summit that we were invited to, we actually took industry members. We took a juice grape industry member, a winery industry member, and a nursery industry member with us. So it wasn't just the Lake Erie regional team saying, we have all these issues. We had backed up industry folks with us who were allowed to tell their story and their concerns. And it has been received quite well. I don't know if you can speak, Brian, to what has come out of that, but we have had conversations and we know what the background is happening, but is there anything that you would like to share that has come out of that meeting that we can share with our folks? You can elect to say, I'm not comfortable saying that.
I'm gonna elect to let some of those folks speak for themselves at the meeting on May 1st.
Perfect.
Yeah, it is what's come out of that, and the concern has gotten very high in state governments and with federal regulators and federal response. And the uniqueness of mechanization is something that is pretty much rare in our region, and that's going to change a lot of things. Some of the other issues, the juice grapes, different. It's very different because they're not harvested, then taken in and fermented. So there are food scientists through pesticide regulators, through just the state quarantine regulators who are working on this and recognize the uniqueness of the region, the fact that the border basically doesn't exist between the two states for all intents and purposes of harvesting and production in that region, and that is a very unique qualifier. So the folks that need to know about that are aware of it, and thank you, Jen and Megan, for bringing those industry folks into the room to explain. And this goes back to the very beginning. There's a lot that happened immediately without understanding the full impacts of what the introduction of quarantine meant. We seem to have lost Jen.
She'll be right back.
Okay. So there is time now to prepare ahead. where there wasn't when suddenly there was lanternflies. So that was the big thing.
Yeah, that's is really going to make all the difference. I think as far as our experience and what our experience will be up here. And I'd like to actually one more shout out, Brian, if you're comfortable. So myself and Andrew and will be presenting something that I'm working on with Brian right now, which is to take the recommended sprays for lanternfly and work out what a practical management IPM based management plan will look like for the Lake Erie region. And part of what goes into that is making sure that we have looked at, with new insects, with new pests, we have to really watch that the special local need, the pesticide registrations, what's registered in Pennsylvania, what's registered in New York, what you're allowed to use, what you aren't, what the processors allow. So Brian is really helping with or doing most of the legwork with this. I'm providing the context and the contacts as far as the information, and he's helping wade through dozens and dozens of pesticide labels. And so one of Andrew's first presentations with the team will be at that meeting. We'll be talking about what the down and dirty economic impact of this pest will be, just in terms of your annual budgeting, and what sort of impacts that it can have on our operations. Andrew, would you like to speak to that for just a sec, or Brian?
Yeah, I can just say that hopefully we'll give you an idea of what to expect so we can start budgeting and start planning moving forward so that hopefully that impact of the spotted lanternfly isn't as harsh when eventually we do get it.
Yeah, and I would add in there to Jen mentioned Dr. Urban, who has been the backbone of this for Penn State, and really, really just an amazing person to work with. One of the really great things that has come out of my moving into Penn State and academia is to work with Dr. Urban. From that point, at the meeting, you'll hear from Flor Acevedo, Dr. Acevedo, and I get tired. I'm not calling anybody else doctor anymore. They're all doctors except me. I'm the one that barely made it through high school. Everybody else is doctor in the room. They we have Flor Acevedo, who is right there in the Erie region, and she's going to bring you some grape updates, as is Michaela Centenari, who is a physiologist. I think Michaela's at the meeting on the first. Yes.
Michaela's in Italy.
Italy.
So we will
Okay.
not have, we will have some of her data. We will not have Michaela present at the meeting, unfortunately.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Kane will be there. So Kane
Kane.
Hickey, who a lot of our growers are familiar with because he's a native of Northeast Pennsylvania. So we'll have he'll be there, and Greg.
Greg Krawczyk. Yep. And
Mhm.
Greg is a tree fruit entomologist who has done a lot of work with insecticides in vineyards with lanternfly, because that's where the need was at the time, and that was before Flor was in her position. And Michaela has done just a tremendous amount of work, the two of them, with the physiology. So when you think about this bug, the question early on was, well, what were the impacts going to be? We know now, if you do nothing, you're going to lose vines. You are going to lose vines. Unfortunately, grape and tree of heaven are the two plants that are consistently killed if the attacks are not stopped by this bug. Most other trees are going to do just fine. They'll weather it. They may get knocked about a bit and beat up, but they'll weather it. Grapes don't have that luxury. And so that question that Flora and Michaela have worked on is, what are the levels? What are the thresholds of economic points that where you cannot ignore it? And so Andrew's going to be able to help with that, with Greg's work, with the insecticides, working the uniqueness of processor requirements. That's not something that goes on much in the Southeast, because there are not processors buying up large amounts of grapes here. So the unique requirements of the individual processors are another issue. New York State has very different insecticide restrictions than Pennsylvania in terms of products allowed to be used. And so that's going to come into play. And so this is going to have to be individualized and tailored to each grower's operation. And in all that fun detail is that whole big group that's working on this, working together with the regulators to try and get that information as accurate as possible as they need it.
I think
And that
as
group
far
is
as the
going to be
economic. Oh, I was just going to the one last person that didn't get mentioned is Claudia Schmidt will be, she's done a lot of work on the economic impacts as well. She's the economist on the wine and grape team for Penn State. And so she has a quick presentation as well. So I think we've really covered pretty much all of the bases as far as it goes. And we're really trying to showcase all of the work and all of the moving parts that have gone into getting to the point where we can have a management strategy and a management guide that can be efficacious in our region on a larger scale.
Yeah. And just you guys have oversold me here, and it's very nice, but understand that some of the answers are going to be that we do not know. There are a lot of things we still don't know. We can give you our best guess that hopefully has a little bit of education behind that guess, but there are many questions that we're going to straight up answer with we don't know. But this is the best way that you can handle it at the moment. And that's unfortunately what you have to expect. Yeah.
And just to build off of what you were saying, Brian, this is the opportunity for growers to ask those questions, because as you guys have been immersed in it and you've been dealing with what was thrown with you, but maybe there's something that a grower who hasn't had to deal with it has a question that could possibly direct which way research could go in order to help a population up here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And every time I talk to somebody who is new to lanternfly, and we've had researchers from around the world come out, and literally around the world come out to see what we're doing, to talk to them, and they bring us questions from the point of very little knowledge. And every time we talk to them, it helps us to refocus where we are, because we get into a groove. We think we start thinking in a solid manner. And sometimes a question from a grower, a question from a novel researcher puts us back into the frame of mind, and we go, that's a really good idea and we need to look at it. So by all means, bring your questions, and it helps us all the more.
Fantastic. We're really excited about this program and to be able to bring it. We have not only the researchers in viticulture and enology, but we also have growers who have dealt with it for almost 10 years. And we have the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture who will be giving some presentation, as well as New York State Department of Agriculture, who have already registered to attend to listen to grower concerns. So you have an ample opportunity to get your voice heard. Remember, you have to go to PSU Extension. If you Google Spotted Lanternfly PSU Extension, it'll take you to the link. It's a very long link with forward slashes and numbers and letters, and I don't want to just rattle it off to you. You're better off just Googling it. Penn State Extension Spotted Lanternfly meeting. It's on May 1st, hosted by the Lake Erie Regional Grape Program. Brian, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us. I would like to say on behalf of everybody that we're really excited to have this program and to bring it to the growers and to get the grower involvement and get their voices heard. Megan, do you have anything that you would like to add, or Andrew?
It's a podcast. I can't hear you shaking your heads, guys.
I was just going to say, I hear silence and I froze before. Maybe it's me. I don't know.
I just again, just to express gratitude to the team that's willing to come up, to talk about these concerns, and, really, again, just to reiterate, to have a research team that's willing to say, we don't know, but we wonder that too, but we're willing to hear your concerns. It's really fantastic to see that kind of transparency. And I think it's really reassuring, not just now, but for, future endeavors too. It's good stuff.
And I just wanted to say I'm excited to be part of this team and work on important projects and programs such as this one. So I'm grateful for everyone that I've met so far, and have been very kind, welcoming me on, and I look forward to meeting everybody else and all the growers in the area.
Fantastic. We're really grateful to have you as well. So thank you for tuning in and listening. We had been on a bit of a hiatus due to the conference circuit. Megan and I and Brian have been on for the past couple of months, but we're back and the growing season will be starting soon. So you can expect more regular podcasts from Between the Vines. Please share if you are interested in looking at this. We are also have a link on YouTube that you can just Google YouTube for the Lake Erie Regional Grape Program, and the podcast come up there. Really video blogs, but we use the audio from this for our podcast. So hope to see you on May 1st. That is your opportunity to get your voice heard. So come on out. Remember, it's limited availability and it's filling up fast. So please register soon so we can have those numbers and then be able to make the appropriate things that we do for our outreach. So appreciate you listening. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.